Well, I'm Tessa Smith with Mama's Geeky. Thank you all so much for taking the time today. I loved this movie. I was so into it right from the beginning and then all the way through. I thought it was fantastic. But I want to know for all of you, what drew you to want to be a part of it? And then Leslie, if you want to go first.
Sure. So glad you enjoyed it. I was just really excited to shoot a movie, be a part of a movie like this. I mean, it's a no-brainer. This entire ensemble cast is incredible at what they do. They're also, as I was so lucky to get to know them in the process of shooting, everyone that's a part of this film loves what they do. And I think we all signed up for not only the story, but the experience of working with each other. And I felt so blessed to work with these two, with Gbenga and Levon, closely and bond with them over that time. And then also just see like vets like do what they do best. Like Juliette's one of my favorites in film. Peter goes without saying. Macon, Net, like everybody in this film is just amazing. So it was really cool to be a part of it.
What got me really excited about it is that I think there's this thing that we all fall into of thinking about olden times, that everyone was a killer and everyone was a complete badass. And what I loved about this story is that my character, Jack Parker, really doesn't want to take lives and actually isn't a vicious human being. And this kind of world bears down on him, but he really resists it the whole film. And one highlight for him is he manages to get through this whole story without taking a life. Yeah. And what got me really excited about it was just getting to kind of find some sensitivity in a Western, which is, I think, an image of masculinity that's completely shied away from.
I'm going to push back a little bit because arguably Jack took all the lives. Everybody died. Jack. I'm just saying, like, arguably, Jack massacred everybody. Come on this mission with me. I don't know. Come on.
He was the catalyst for a lot of destruction.
He was. That's a good point.
But it's the hero's journey in the most simplest form. You have a guy on a mission who gets other folks who are kind of wandering in the West, trying to survive, and then gives them, hoists up in front of them this mission that they have a choice to take or not to take, and then we do, and then it's a train ride the rest of the way. It was great. I love storytelling like that.
Did any of you read the book like before, like prior to signing on to this?
No, I didn't.
No.
I read the book right before, after I got the part, and then to read the book.
What did you guys think? Like, so did all of you read the book then after you got in, or no?
No.
Oh, so you're the only one who's read it.
I did, and I loved the book. I think it's amazing. And all of the differences that we found in the book, the big one being that Cutthroat Bill is now a woman, is just so now the most interesting aspect of the movie is that with this young girl and this older woman, there's this, like, Gbenga said this the other day, where she's like siphoning the youth from her. And it's kind of this beautiful relationship that I've never seen before. And that's just kind of one of the things that I think makes this movie not your typical Western and really actually adds something new to the genre.
Absolutely. I love the dynamic between the two of them. And then for all of you, what was it like getting to play in this time period? Like the costumes and everything? What was that like?
So cool. That was one of the most exciting parts of this as well, is just getting to play, like really being transported by what you're wearing. Every day that I got dressed as Jimmy Sue, I felt it's really hard not to feel in character when you feel like your wardrobe is your armor, and you get to see that as soon as you put that on. So I think, yeah, Anne was incredible at designing our wardrobe and collaborating with each of us, on what we felt most comfortable in those really, really hard conditions. It's beautiful, but it was very, very cold. So it was really cool to be a part of a period piece like this.
It was really difficult not to fully indulge in a sense of play the whole time. That's what was so lovely. Someone puts a pistol at your side and gives you some cowboy boots. And all I wanted to do was just be a cowboy and run around. I mean, it's just, you feel like a 10-year-old again. It's the best.
yeah, it's playing cops and robbers. It's like just like Levon said, you get the costumes inform so much of what you're gonna do and how you're gonna play, and so like, you don't have any extra pieces. Everything you have in that, like in back in the West, is because you needed it, and so then like, we have this type of boot because of that. We have this type of rifle because of that. We're wearing this vest to put in these supplies, and so it's fun to see the storytelling through the costuming as well, and then playing like a kid. Then you got big guns.
That's a plus. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Like I said, I loved this movie. I had so much fun with it. So thank you guys. Thank you both so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Hi.
So Peter, for you, you've been attached to this project for a long time now. So what is it like to finally have it out there?
Yeah, it always feels a bit surreal, and sometimes there are days when you wonder if it will ever be made, and then you just have to persevere and keep going. And yeah, there's a history behind every film we watch in terms of the amount of time it takes, the money you need to raise. They cost money, the talent of people and their schedules, and it's all really about timing. COVID locked us down for a couple of years there, like everybody else that went through that. But you just got to persevere, and it works out because you get somebody like Juliette Lewis as your co-lead, and that's everything.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are phenomenal in this together. I love the rivalry. I love the two of you. Juliette, for you, what was it that made you want to be a part of the Thicket?
Oh my goodness, I was just in my little mountain home dreaming of being in the movies again. So that for starters, and then we had a great conversation, Peter and I, and the director, Elliott Lester, and this was really a dream part. There was something, I had thought about a part a long time ago, it wasn't quite this, but it had the ingredients of, and so when it came my way, it felt like a manifestation. My dad, who's a character actor, comes from Westerns, and he was best known for playing a villain in High Plains Drifter. So I felt very much like my father's daughter, and I was sort of honoring this legacy. And women in Westerns aren't villains, so this was a real chance to showcase something I'd never had before.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you play the real villain. Like you're a bad person. I love it, but you do it so well. You do it so well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then for both of you, what was it like getting to play in this time period? Because I mean, the costumes, the sets, it was incredible.
I mean, I've loved Westerns, but like every other genre, there's great ones and not so great ones. And they've become sometimes, I don't know, sometimes they're guilty of of cliches, like a lot of genres are. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, because the wheel, if it works, you don't have to reinvent it. But things like making Bill, who in the novel that we adapted from, Joe Lansdale's novel, he's a man. And we had this sort of a light bulb went over our heads. What if we make the villain a woman? And don't change anything else, but see how that plays out in terms of the kidnapping and all of that goes through the narrative of the film. And it just sort of, without trying to reinvent the wheel, it just sort of felt like the wheel just fit much more tightly onto I'll stop with this metaphor, but it just onto the car. It just worked perfectly, and especially with Juliette. Yeah.
It flipped it. It flipped it all. And then also the turn of the century with the opening with the motorbike in a Western.
Yeah.
I'd never, I don't know. To me, it has this edge to it, this like punk rock lightning that goes throughout the film. That's kind of, makes it brittly. It makes it it's very fresh, but all the things you would love and be excited by in a Western.
Yeah, we wanted to sort of start to play at the time between horses and like the Industrial Revolution,
Yes.
Creeping out into the West. Like maybe back in New York, they already had the railroad and all of that, and there were cars everywhere. But out there was that one motorcycle. Where'd that come from? Most people are on horses. So there was a long period of time, and I'm sort of a history buff in terms of the time in between the horses and the cars.
Yeah.
And what was that like? It's like what we live in now with the technology. I'm still getting used to all
Yes.
the technology, and it's sort of a similar thing. It's sort of those time in betweens that are sort of forgotten about, and I obsess about that stuff.
Transition.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, amazing. Well, final question. I got to ask you guys, what was your favorite thing about working with one another?
My least favorite was we didn't have enough stuff together.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, what is good for our characters wasn't good for us as people, as friends. But working with Juliette, it's. I mean, yes, we are playing rivals, adversaries in the film, but I don't want to give too much away. But the scene, it's all about what's going on underneath, and the predatory nature that Juliette brought to Bill just kept me right there in the scene, and it just the energy
Yes.
was crackling,
It's that.
and that's rare. Sometimes you have
It's
to act
rare.
it, and
Yeah.
all I have to do is be in a scene with her, and there's something crackling, and I live for that as an actor.
That was my answer, but his was much more eloquent. It's just sharing space. Sometimes you could sit two, I just want to call us heavyweights. What the F? I'm just going to say it.
Yes.
Two people, and you put them in
We're old
a
enough
ring
now, yeah.
together. I don't know. You can't manufacture it. So it was just very special this day. We had this incredible time, and there's other moments in the scene, in the movie. So I was just electrified working with him. It was very exciting.
Same.
Amazing. Well, you're both incredible. I loved this movie. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Geeky, thank you so much, Elliott, for taking the time.
Tessa, you have got the most impressive hat.
I have a lot of
You
Funko
have an
Pops.
audience.
I do.
I have an audience. It's quite intimidating.
They're all watching you. They're going to judge
Yeah,
every
they
word.
are.
No. Well, I got to tell you, I loved this movie so much. I love that it's a Western. I love that it's a combination of like just when you're starting to get like motorcycles and stuff. So can you talk about finding that sweet spot?
In terms of the period, 1908 was sort of an important period in the American West. The American West was coming to an end in some respects. You were ushering in change, hence we have the motorbike at the beginning. It was sort of a changeover to the sort of the mechanization. These are sort of the last vestiges of the American West. You know, the American West was a brutal, brutal time, you know, disease, pestilence, badasses, you know, and no safety. Nobody's safe in this film.
No.
She doesn't wear a crash helmet.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, can you talk about the change you made to Bill and making Bill a female? Because I love the dynamic that changes, and I like between her and the whole kidnapping. I really, really enjoyed that.
It was a condition of me doing the movie. I was given the script by a producer called Shannon Golding. Shannon gave me the script. I said, I have two requisites. I said, one, we're going to make this villain a woman, and I have to meet Peter Dinklage in the next 3 days.
There you
And
go.
both happened.
I mean, I love that. I think it really adds so much to this movie. It makes it something it feels like we haven't seen before, which I think is important.
I think that's the sort of obligation of like filmmaking, and I think that it's such a wonderful medium that you're able to express yourself in a number of different ways, you know, and that's sort of, you try to push the boundaries in order to sort of just give a different point of view, and I think Bill is definitely a different point of view.
Absolutely. Can you talk about what makes Juliette so perfect for that role? She's phenomenal.
1000%. Juliette Lewis is an icon. Juliette Lewis is a collaborator. Juliette Lewis is a musician. You take a fantastic actor with someone who is so completely alive, totally self-possessed, and you throw a psychotic killer into the mix, and there you have Cutthroat Bill.
Oh, she's so good in this. She's phenomenal.
It's great,
And then
right?
She's so good. But
Can you do her
Peter's
voice.
incredible. Oh my God. It's so, I was like, at first I was like, what is happening? Like, I'm like, did that hurt her voice doing that for so long?
No, because she's a singer,
Yeah.
and she can go up and down the scale. You know, She's just tremendous. I'm so proud of the performance that she does, and she completely inhabited that character.
Oh, she does a phenomenal job, as does Peter. Can you talk about working with him? I mean, talk about an icon.
Peter has had the script for 11 years. You know, I'm very happy to say we've become friends. He's a true collaborator. Everything was, let's try and make it better. Let's get this done. You know, once you're in his orbit, you've got two creatives like sort of banging together. So where you feel sometimes you have a limit, this was limitless. Let's try this. Let's do something. Let's get James Hetfield. You know, let's go make that happen. Dream it. We would dream it and it would happen.
Oh, I love it. Now, in terms of the book, did you read the book at all when you got the script, or did you kind of
I
try
had to. I had to. And I'm a fan of Joe Lansdale. Joe Lansdale, you know, Happen Leonard, and he's a fantastic, you know, writer from Texas. I couldn't capture every aspect of the book because it's a book.
Yeah.
But what I was able to do was take slithers of the concept. He was very gracious about it as well. He goes, take the book, interpret it the way you want to. I bless it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I loved this movie, so congratulations.
I love it.